Good morning and happy, beautiful Monday. I wanted to come live to you today to talk about something really important because it was something that happened to me that I wanted to share with all of you. Hello, I'm Leslie, and I am a mindset and emotional awareness coach, helping my clients achieve self awareness around their emotional trigger moments so they make better decisions, become more responsive rather than reactive, and they can lead more positive, more calm, lives where they're making better decisions in those moments when our emotions try to take over, but rather we learn to transition ourselves through the emotional piece through to the other side and can manifest a better, more graceful day that we want to like show up in. So today, I know it was a little bit long-winded, but today I wanted to talk to you about something that happened to me. So, oh my gosh, so last week was crazy for me as far as some of my self-worth. I started realizing that there was something I had been doing to me. See, I've been working with my clients around things, and when I work with someone else, I am so in, all in, going hard and helping them to achieve the life that they want to live, helping them move through the emotional piece and the mindset piece and putting that all together and what that looks like for their life so that they have more calm and more confidence, more grace, more gratitude, more love, and more joy in their life. But when it came to me, I realized I'd been doing something and I had absolutely no idea. And it all happened to me on Thursday. I had a moment where I was being myself as a person, like me as a human. Yes, I know that I'm good at what I do as a coach, but as a person, a human being, I started doubting myself. And it was crazy because I've never had this really come up in this way for me before, but it did. And I'm so glad that it did. And I wanted to share that with you. In fact, I recently wrote an article for Brains Magazine because I'm an executive contributor to the magazine. And I called it the deafening roar of my silence because that's what happened. I got into this self doubt moment and I was questioning who I am. If you've listened to my previous lives, some of them I've said in it where this is something I truly believed, but I didn't believe it for myself. Like I didn't even know that I didn't believe it for myself. But I usually would say, like everyone, which is a belief that I have, that everyone is born to add value to this world, and we just have to figure out what our gifts and our talents are and go out and do that. But I didn't realize that I had some unspoken words in my silent space in my head that have been mulling around. And this happens to me when something triggers me to start doubting myself as a human. And even doubting myself as a coach too, because that's happened before as well. But what happened was I didn't even know this was inside of me, but I had this self doubt moment, and so I started having this conversation with God, and I was saying, "You've got me on this vision, this mission. You have me doing these things. You've shown me all of this that I'm on the right path. I'm getting the feedback, but why do I feel like I'm just not doing what I? There's something missing." And I said, I was getting like really choked up about it. I could barely speak. It was in my heart, pressing just the pressure on my chest. I can actually feel it right now, like how that felt. I'm calling it up, and I can feel it right now, how I felt on Thursday. And it was is because I was asking this question and talking to God and asking Him for an answer, and I felt like it fell on deaf ears, like He wasn't hearing me. I felt like I was all alone on this island by myself, that He wasn't listening, and that I was left to my own devices. And so, what did I do? That was, of course, what most people would do who start doubting themselves, is you start looking for all of the things to support why you should doubt yourself, why what you're thinking is your truth. And that's what I did. But I also did something else, which was really, really, and I believe took a lot of courage. And that was what I wanted to talk to you about today. So before I get into that, I want to ask, I'm going to, give you the definition, obviously, of courage, which is the ability to do something that frightens one, right? Or strength in the face of pain or grief. And that is what I believe is what I want to talk about. Because what does courage mean as it pertains to our own inner voice, our own narrative? Because I believe like we as humans are born, we're all worthy. Like I truly do believe that, but I didn't really fully believe that for me. I was believing that for everyone else, but for some reason I wasn't believing that for myself, which was odd because I was thinking, why not, right? But it came down to realizing that I just didn't have as much confidence in who I am as a human being. And I didn't even know that that was even a possibility of a narrative in my own head because I've been working in this particular area of mindset and emotional awareness for a few years now. And I thought, like, I've got this pretty much kind of locked down, getting a little bit, cocky there, and realize, yeah, no, it's still a work in progress. It's not a one and done. And that's something that I also have, even said to my clients. Like, it's not about a one and done. It's not about it being, like you fix something and that's it. You'll never face it again. I realized that sometimes, especially when you're going bigger and you're trying to grow, you start getting into that place where you're like, oh, okay, I'm making changes. Now it's pretty scary and now it's getting real. And now I'm starting to doubt myself. And am I even worthy and deserving of this? And that's what was happening because I was allowing myself to like buy into this untrue value scale that I put for myself. And the thing is, the reason why I say it's an untrue value scale is because there's no value that you can put on yourself as a human being other than that you're worthy, no matter who you are, because you're worthy just because you're here. You were chosen to be born, so that's worthiness already right there. So it's already been proven, right? Now, of course, I can go a step further because I believe in God and I believe in where I'm going when I pass. So I believe that my value, my worth has already been proven by Him because I can just look to the cross. So that's for me. So when I started thinking about this whole silence thing, right? Like I'm talking to God and I'm asking Him, like, why? Like, why are you leaving me alone on this island? I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And feeling like there's nothing I can do. And what ended up happening was something really kind of remarkable in a way as I look back at it. But at the time, I was kind of pissed off. But I have an app on my phone. It's called Meditation Moments, and it's an app that I have that I use for meditations, for inspiration, things like that. And one of the quotes that popped up said, "Sometimes silence is the answer." Well, I was kind of mad about that because I'm thinking, well, so what you're saying is you're not going to answer me, and so now what, right? And that's when again, as I said, what did I do? The best thing I could do was I'm going to go look for evidence to support why I'm not worthy and why I'm not deserving and why this is always happening to me, and I'm going to go on this pity party. But on top of that, I realized something else, and that's where I'm going with this. I decided to be really super courageous. It was something that I had done a few years ago. And I realized in that moment, I remembered an experience that I had back in 2018 when or it was actually 2019, I should say, March of 2019. And I went to an event where this woman I know was hosting this event, a 2-day event. It was in Las Vegas. And it was about, like self love and self development and all of that. And there was about 50 of us women that attended. And on the Saturday, the very first day, she said to us, who here would like to come up and get coached around what they had written down as their reason for being here? And of course, I didn't even think about it, but I raised my hand and she immediately called on me and brought me up on stage. And unbeknownst to me, that wasn't what we were going to talk about. She's known me for a while, but she realized she knew there was more to it than what I had written down because I was thinking I'm going up there to talk about business because she already created this great business and I wanted to learn from her and I wanted her to coach me around it. So instead, what ended up happening was she helped me pull on some old emotional wounds to really pull on the emotion and actually feel it. She actually tried to do this with me a few months prior, and I was very resistant to it. In fact, I was quite angry with her for doing that. And so, because she knew this, I believe it was the best, most amazing experience of my life. And so, going up on stage and bearing my truth and being vulnerable and opening up and crying these tears of grief and sadness and just going through the emotions of things that happened in my past that I thought, I'd already dealt with them. I know that they're not really have anything to do with my life now. But really, what I hadn't really done was release myself from the burden of carrying my past with me as if it was something that that I was responsible to own as part of my truth. Now, it is part of my life and it's part of what I experienced. But now, because I went through that, I was able to really, truly release myself from the emotional burden that I was carrying. It allows me to use those pieces of my life to help other people, other women that I work with. And so I got my aha moment and realized this is what I want to help other women with because of the transformation that I received. And so where I'm going with this is that recently, as I said, something happened. This was last week, actually. And I had a coaching call the next day because I'm in a coaching program for myself. I truly believe that coaches can also benefit from other coaches. I believe in coaching, not only for myself to give to others, but for myself to receive because it makes me better. It helps me have someone with a bird's eye view, the outside looking in, to help me to see the things I don't see for myself. And so being coached, I knew that that would be the best way for me to move through this. And so I sent in a question for the call. And I was able to have this most beautiful transformational moment that I knew it was possible. I did know it was possible because, as I said, it had happened before. But I didn't know in this case if it would happen again. And it did. And it allowed me to see that what I had been searching for, what I had been really not allowing myself to lean into was I didn't believe that I deserved to speak up for myself. I didn't have my voice. I was looking for my voice. I was searching and to find my voice to speak up for myself, to be able to speak my truth and be able to own that I am worthy and to be able to own that, the things that I want to do with my life, I can do. And it has nothing to do with the value scale. And that was so liberating. And I really realized how amazing that was. So maybe you are going through something like that. Maybe you have one of those moments in your life right now where you're actually having that conversation, whether, like I said, I had my conversation with God, but maybe you're having your conversation just with yourself and you're really upset about something and you're just saying, why me? Why me? Why can't things change? Why won't things change? It's possible for you to make change in your life. And sometimes the best way to do it, in fact, I've found the best way for me to do that was to say it out loud in front of other people and having them hold space for me in a way that I felt safe. I didn't know most of the people, like I don't really know most of the people on a really deeper level that were on the group coaching call that I did on Friday, this past Friday. But I felt that I knew it was the same experience the first time around. I didn't know all the other 49 women in the room, but I had the courage to go up and just be vulnerable and allow myself to feel. And that was something, and I realized one of the things that I've been doing was I was always trying to logically address something when something would happen and the emotions would happen. I would think, oh, track it back to my thoughts and change my thoughts so that I don't, but I was negating that I was feeling. And so all I was doing was sweeping the feelings under the rug. And they were going to come back to haunt me, which they did on Thursday. I thought I can do this logically, right? So I truly believe that in order to move through an emotional piece to your day that is happening, something's happening, sometimes you might have to just step away and take a moment and really feel into like, why do you feel this way? And track it to your thoughts, but get into the emotion of it and allow yourself to not only change the thought, but to release the emotion so that you're not carrying the negative emotion with you and you can release that along with the negative thought and create a more empowering thought and then make a decision around that and be able to move forward. And then you can have the responses that you want and it gets better over time. So I've found that although speaking up for me is a work. It's a work in progress for me, and I know that. I understand it like 100%. I know that, and it's not just going to be a one and done. It's going to be an everyday thing for me because I have to remind myself that I am worthy to speak up for myself, just as everyone else is. I am worthy and deserving, just like everyone else is. I was born to add value to this world, just like everyone else is born to add value to this world. And so I understood that. And so having the courage to stand up and say it in front of people who, most of them, I don't even really know, but allowing myself to get vulnerable allowed me to feel into it, allowed me to release the emotion, to make new decisions on how I was thinking. And just the energy shifted to such an amazing place. So if that's you, I definitely understand. For me, that's the beauty of being the type of coach that I am around mindset and emotional awareness. I can bring this to my clients and help them because I've been doing this for them, but I didn't really put the pieces together for myself because I can help anyone else. Like I'm good at that, I'm great at that. But when it came to actually doing that for myself and giving myself permission to do that, that's where the work was. And that's what I learned. And that's what I learned about being courageous. So, yeah, if that's you, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. And if maybe you are looking for that, maybe you need to like get something off your chest and you need to talk it through with someone, I encourage you to reach out to those people in your life who have your back and just say it out loud because sometimes just the process of saying it out loud, that exercise of saying it out loud gets you one step closer to releasing the hold of that negative feeling and that negative thought. And then you can start talking it out with this person that really has your back and can help move you through it. Now, if you don't really have someone like that, but you have, maybe you're looking for coaching around that, that's what I do. So you can DM me and we can talk more about that, about how I help my clients through this. But either way, all I am saying is that in order for you to maybe get more courageous around your inner voice and talking back to your inner voice and changing the narrative in your head and allowing yourself to like move through through those negative emotions and negative thoughts, it's really about having the courage to just say it out loud. I think that was what I wanted to say today. It was like find a way to say it out loud because it will release you. It's amazing the release that you get from it when you can release that. Saying it out loud, just the process of the exercise, just the act of saying it out loud, feeling into the emotions of how bad it makes you feel, and tracking that thought and looking at it and saying it's not true, and you can and having the ability to change it because you can. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. So I hope that you guys are all having a fantastic start to your Monday. It's a little chilly here in Mexico. I'm not going to lie. It's chilly for me, anyways, because I don't particularly like the cold. Anyways, I hope that you have a beautiful Monday. Remember to navigate your day with an attitude of gratitude because with the right attitude, it will put you in the right mindset for when life throws her curveballs or puts up those roadblocks in your way. You will have a better frame of mind to manage them. And your emotions then won't have the ability to steal your time, but rather you'll work through it, you'll release it, and you'll be able to manage your day more confidently. All right, then I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.